Have you ever wondered what happens in the exact seconds after death? Not hours, not days. But in the moments when the heart stops, the body falls silent, and consciousness seems to detach from matter. Imagine a silent battlefield, shrouded in early morning mist. A soldier lies motionless on the ground. But something inexplicable happens. He stands, staring at his own body. No pain, no fear. Just a strange peace. And it's at that moment that everything changes. What you're about to discover may surprise you. Reports of near-death experiences, also known as NDEs, have been multiplying around the world. People who died for minutes have returned with stories that defy logic, science, and even traditional spirituality. They talk about intense lights, encounters with beings of light, feelings of absolute love, and in some cases, messages that completely changed the course of their lives. Have you ever experienced this? Or do you know someone who has? Stay with me until the end, because in this video we'll delve into a narrative that blends emotion, mystery, and profound revelations. This soldier's story is just the beginning. What he sees, feels, and understands in this interworld state can transform the way you see life, and what comes after it. Prepare for a journey that goes beyond reason, touching the limits of consciousness and soul. And when he realizes he's not alone, that's when everything begins to make sense. A presence approaches, enveloped by a soft, almost familiar light. There are no words, but there's a deep, silent communication that touches the soul directly. It's as if everything he'd experienced up until that point, fears, pain, doubts, was being reinterpreted in that moment. And perhaps you, watching now, have felt something similar. A sense that there's something beyond, something that can't be explained logically, but that can be felt with your heart. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what's resonated with you so far. Your experience, your opinion, or even that question you've never had the courage to share. It all matters. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this kind of content that speaks directly to the essence. And if you're enjoying this journey, don't forget to like it. It really helps keep this message alive. Oh, and if you want to keep following stories like this, subscribe to the channel. This is where we build together a space for reflection, connection, and awakening. Because what comes next goes even deeper. What lies behind these near-death experiences is not just a curious phenomenon. It is a window into something that challenges everything we know about consciousness, time, and existence. When someone dies for minutes and returns with vivid memories, intense sensations, and revelations that completely change their mindset, it's impossible to ignore. There's something there. Something that science is still trying to decipher, but that spirituality has recognized for millennia. These experiences, known as NDEs, have been studied by doctors, neuroscientists, and researchers at renowned universities such as the University of Virginia and the University of Southampton. Dr. Sam Parnia, for example, is one of the most respected names in this field. He led studies on patients who were clinically considered dead but returned with remarkable results. Many describe a tunnel of light, a sense of indescribable peace, encounters with spiritual beings, and in some cases, a complete overhaul of their lives, as if they were watching behind the scenes of their earthly journey. And what's most intriguing is that these accounts are repeated across cultures, ages, and beliefs. People who have never met, living in opposite parts of the world, describe experiences with similar details. This raises a question that cannot be ignored. Is there a hidden truth about what happens after death? A dimension we cannot see, but that is as close as the air we breathe? Science tries to explain it with hypotheses about residual brain activity, hallucinations induced by lack of oxygen, or extreme chemical reactions. But there's something these studies fail to capture: the emotional and spiritual impact these experiences cause. People return different. They change their decisions, their values, their way of relating to the world. It's as if they've touched a truth that can't be translated into formulas, but that transforms profoundly. And perhaps this is what fascinates us most: the possibility that death is not an end, but a transition, a portal, an invitation to see life through different eyes. And when someone returns from this place with a message, with a clarity they didn't have before, it's impossible not to wonder, what exists beyond matter? What awaits us when everything we know dissolves? This curiosity isn't just philosophical. It's human. It pulsates in those who have lost someone, in those who have felt that life is more than routine, in those who seek meaning between the lines of existence. And that's why talking about NDEs isn't just about exploring a phenomenon, It's about opening up space for internal transformation. It's about rethinking beliefs, questioning certainties, and allowing yourself to experience what once seemed impossible. Some say these experiences are merely reflections of the unconscious. Others believe they are evidence of a consciousness that transcends the body. But what no one can deny is the impact they have. And when the soldier there on the battlefield sees that light approaching, feels a peace he's never known, and hears a voice that comes not from outside, but from within, everything changes. He's no longer trapped by time, fear, or pain. He's in a different state. A state many describe as the most real they've ever experienced. And this leads us to a profound reflection. Are we living only a part of our existence? Are there layers of reality that we only access when we disconnect from the body? These questions don't have easy answers, but they have the power to move us, to take us out of our automatic mode, to make us look at life with more presence, more purpose, more openness. The journey that begins with an NDE doesn't end when the heart starts beating again. It continues. It unfolds into more conscious decisions, into truer relationships, into a search for something that can't be bought, can't be measured, but can be felt. And perhaps that is what connects us here, this desire to understand what is beyond, to touch the invisible, to hear what only silence reveals. Comment, I'm on this journey too, just so I know you're feeling all of this with me. When we begin to hear the stories of those who have been between life and death, we realize there's a kind of invisible pattern, as if they've all passed through the same door, but each with a different key. One of the stories that struck me most was that of a man who suffered cardiac arrest during surgery. He says that the moment his heart stopped, he felt as if he were floating above the operating table. He saw everything, the doctors rushing about, the machines beeping, the despair in the team's eyes. But at the same time, he felt such a deep peace that he couldn't worry. It was as if he had disconnected from fear. He said that in that moment, he understood that he wasn't just a body, he was something much bigger. Another account comes from a woman who was in a car accident. She was unconscious for a few minutes, but upon coming to, she described in detail an experience that seemed straight out of a lucid dream. She said she saw herself walking through a brightly lit field, where time did not exist. There she found her grandfather, who had passed away years earlier. He embraced her tenderly and said, "It's not your time yet." This phrase resonated with her for weeks. And the most curious thing, she returned with a striking clarity about the decisions she needed to make, as if she had received silent but powerful guidance. These stories aren't isolated. Thousands of people around the world report similar sensations: the lightness of floating, the absence of pain, the reunion with loved ones, and a message that seems to come from a place where time and ego don't exist. And what's most impressive is the impact these experiences have. Many of these people completely change their way of life. Some abandon careers that no longer made sense, others reconnect with their spirituality, and almost all report a new mindset, more open, more compassionate, more present. It's as if these experiences reveal a hidden truth, something that lies beneath the surface but has always been there, waiting to be remembered. And when someone returns with this kind of revelation, it's impossible to simply ignore. Because deep down, we all carry questions that have never been answered, about purpose, about what truly matters, about what exists when everything else disappears. And perhaps by listening to these stories, we won't find all the answers, but we'll find something even more valuable, the courage to look within and begin our own journey of transformation. Comment, this makes sense to me. When we return to the scene with the soldier, something begins to unfold with a force that transcends any logical explanation. He stands there, staring at his own body lying on the ground, as if it were nothing more than a garment that no longer fits. But what truly transforms this moment isn't the sight of the body, it's what happens immediately after. He feels a presence. It's not physical, it has no defined form, but it emanates a soft, welcoming, almost familiar light. It's as if time stands still, and everything around him becomes silent and understanding. This presence doesn't speak with words, but conveys a clear, direct message that touches the core of the soul. The soldier understands, without anyone needing to explain, that he is not alone. That there is something beyond pain, beyond war, beyond death. A higher consciousness, a subtle intelligence that observes everything with compassion. And it is at that moment that he understands that death is not the end. It is a passage, a transition point between two states of existence. And this revelation doesn't come as a theory, it comes as an internal certainty, as if he were accessing the backstage of reality. The sensation is one of lightness, as if he were letting go of everything that limited him. Fear, guilt, attachment. Everything begins to dissolve. And in its place, a profound clarity emerges. He sees scenes from his life not as judgments, but as lessons learned. Every decision, every gesture, every word takes on new meaning. It's as if you're reviewing your journey through the eyes of your soul, understanding the impact you had on others and what you could have done differently. There's no condemnation, only awareness. This experience provokes a silent transformation. He senses something waiting for him, but also realizes there's still something to be accomplished. And this duality, between the desire to move on and the need to return, is what defines this moment. It's as if he's caught between two worlds, faced with a choice. And this choice isn't rational, it's intuitive. He feels there's still something that needs to be lived, something that needs to be said, something that needs to be healed. Comment here, I'm on this journey too. When someone returns from an experience as intense as an NDE, they don't return the same. It's as if something has been unlocked inside, a new perception, a shift in mindset that can't be explained in words, but is felt in actions. Many report that, after dying for minutes, they began to see life with more lightness, more gratitude, more presence. Small gestures gain value. Previously neglected relationships become a priority. And the fear of death, once a constant specter, simply disappears. Not because they now know everything, but because they sense that there is something beyond, something that welcomes, guides, and transforms. These people speak of empathy with rare depth. They say that, during their experience, they could feel the impact of their own actions on others. Not as judgment, but as revelation. As if they were watching behind the scenes of their own journey, understanding that every choice creates ripples, that every word carries weight, that every decision builds or destroys invisible bridges. And that changes everything. It changes the way we live, the way we love, the way we care for ourselves. It's as if life gains a new layer of meaning, more subtle, more truthful, more urgent. What if all this is happening to remind us of something we've forgotten? Something that's inside us, but has been drowned out by the noise of the world, by external pressures, by daily distractions. Perhaps these experiences are invitations. Invitations to slow down, to look into someone's eyes, to listen with our hearts. Invitations to reclaim what truly matters, before time takes us away without us having truly lived. The feeling that remains is that life isn't just about achievements, goals, or survival. It's about connection, about presence, about purpose. And when someone returns from an NDE with this kind of clarity, it's impossible to ignore. It's as if it brings a silent but powerful reminder, we're here for a reason. And perhaps that reason isn't in our grand deeds, but in the small moments we choose to live consciously. Comment, this makes sense to me. When we hear these stories, when we allow ourselves to feel what they convey, it's impossible not to question our own journey. Not as a demand, but as a sincere invitation to transformation. If you had the chance to come back from the dead, what would change in your life? This question isn't just provocative, it's revealing. Because it forces us to look inward, behind the scenes of our existence, and realize what we're failing to live, to say, to feel. Many people who have had near-death experiences come away with a striking clarity about what truly matters. They talk about the impact of small decisions, the value of honest conversation, and the power of being present. And this shows us that perhaps life doesn't need great feats to be meaningful, it needs truth. Connection. The courage to be who you are, even when everything around you seems to demand masks. These experiences remind us that time is a precious resource, and that every moment can be an opportunity for awakening. It's not about living in fear of death, but about living with awareness of life. About understanding that every choice builds our legacy, that every gesture leaves a mark, that every silence can be filled with something transformative. And when we realize this, something changes. The rush lessens. Listening deepens. Presence becomes more intense. Perhaps the greatest gift of these experiences is precisely this, the chance to begin again. To look at everything with new eyes. To make peace with the past, to redefine the present, to make room for a future more aligned with who you truly are. Because in the end, what remains are not possessions, titles, or numbers. What remains is what was built within. What was shared. What was felt. Comment, this makes sense to me. If you've made it this far, it's because this conversation touched you in some way. And that says a lot. This kind of content only makes sense when it generates true connection, when it provokes reflection, when it opens space to feel, to question, to transform. So, if this message resonated with you, please leave a like. It's a simple way to show that this kind of exchange is worthwhile and that you want to see more content like this here. Subscribing to the channel is like continuing this journey together, because each video is another step in this search for meaning, awareness, and presence. And if you feel this space is for you, come join us. There's so much good to experience and share. Oh, and comment, I'm with you until the end, just so I know you were present for every part of this conversation. There's a video here that complements this topic. Click and continue with me there. We still have a lot to explore.